Alrighty, morning everyone, and welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel on another beautiful day. In today's video I want to talk to you about whether or not I might have bought too much gold and silver. Now some of you might already say, well, you can't have too much gold and silver, what on earth are you talking about? Well, and that might be true, but it might not be true for everyone. Some people might actually buy too much gold and silver for what they plan on doing with it and for their own capabilities, so to say, maybe. And I want to talk about that today because I think it's an interesting topic. Can you actually have too much gold and silver? And what do you do if you have? So yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that today. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at the stuff that I brought for you today. So first one is a Cook Islands Silver Star. Very beautiful 1 ounce silver coin. Problem with that, doesn't come in a capsule, which is really unfortunate because they will get milk spots eventually. Same with this one, Una and the Line 1 ounce silver coin from 2021. Comes with a massive premium, unfortunately, and unfortunately does not come in a capsule. I don't know how they got the idea that that would be a good idea, but oh well, I guess that's what it is, but I won't be buying another one of those because it already has milk spots. Next one definitely doesn't, because the Perthman packages almost everything in the capsule, and that is actually the way to go, in my opinion. And this is a 1 ounce Luna 3 Tiger from the year of 2022, and this is the gold counterpart of it. Very beautiful coins, I really like them. I'm very happy that the next edition of the Luna 3 series is already out partially and will be coming out completely over the next couple of weeks. That's very epic, and I'll be really be looking forward for that. So, can you have too much gold or too much silver or whatever? I think that kind of depends on, first of all, what your goal is with stacking. Do you want a security, a just financial security in case something breaks that you have to pay for, and you want to just store your money into something that can't become worthless? Very, very important to think about one thing though. It can become worth less until the time that you actually need it. It won't become worthless, but it might be worth a bit less than what you paid for it, because it takes a lot of time for gold and silver to keep their value. They do keep their value over like centuries, right? But it takes centuries sometimes for them to level out again into the same value that they once had. So don't think that your silver and gold is going to be worth exactly the same 1 year from now or 1 year in the past. That's not the case. It takes a longer time for that because gold and silver just don't care about how long you live. They will level out eventually with their value, but that might not be in the time that you want it to. So just keep that in mind. But if you want it for that, I don't think you can necessarily have too much of it, because, if you then have too much, that's just an additional security kind of, right? But if you're, for example, planning on leaving the place where you're at right now, for example, or if you're afraid that you might have to because of some unfortunate scenario, then you can have too much silver, primarily because silver can become very heavy with a reasonable amount of money that you put into it. So that's something you have to think about, in my opinion. If you really plan on doing that, plan on going somewhere with your silver is heavy, right? And so you would probably need to take a car. Can you take a car where you want to go? If so, well, yeah, then that's okay. But still, it will weigh a lot. And, that's just kind of thing that you might want to think about. Another thing that you might want to think about, if you collecting it for some prepping scenario, for example, where you might come into a very difficult situation besides financially, you have to really think about a certain thing. Humans in general are not good, right? And especially in a very tough situation, most of them aren't. So you kind of have to think about, what is it that you want to do with this silver? Do you want to go out then and only rely on silver to buy stuff, which suggests to other people that you have a lot of it and probably makes you a decent target for stuff? Or do you maybe want to look into getting the stuff that you need first and then just have silver kind of like in the back that you can rely on or build something on in the future, maybe, right? I would not go ahead and just say, okay, in case something really hits the fan, I'm only going to rely on silver and gold. I don't think that is the way to go. because you then have to rely on someone else. You can't just rely on silver and gold because you can't eat or drink it. So you still have to rely on someone else if you have to trade for necessary stuff for your life with gold and silver. And if that other person is like, yeah, well, I don't want to give you that much food for 1 ounce of gold and 1 ounce of silver or whatever, like, what are you gonna do then? You still have to eat something, right? So gold and silver can be great tools for that, but I don't think that this should be the only thing that you should rely on. So be careful in that direction. But besides all of this crisis stuff and all kinds of stuff like that, if you just want to get into something that's, for example, fun, where you can also maybe increase your net worth a little bit, right? I think it can make sense to buy gold and silver to start with, and maybe only buy that. But we are gonna go over this only buying something in another video. But you could maybe also only buy gold and silver because it's really easy to understand everything about gold and silver. If you're trying to do so many things at a time, when you're starting, for example, you want to do stocks and crypto and gold and silver and bonds and whatever, you can't possibly understand all of those in a short period of time. So it would probably make sense to focus on one, learn everything about it that is necessary to know, and then have a good understanding when you go ahead and buy something, so that you don't get whatever scammed or some stuff like that. So I think that's actually a pretty good way of going about it. And you know, you might have a little bit too much gold and silver in the beginning, for example, but I don't think that that's too bad, right? Because speaking of that, I said it in the beginning already, if you have too much gold and silver, if you really get into that situation, there's no problem just selling it. You can sell it pretty much everywhere. So that's also a very good thing about gold and silver. Another reason why it might not be a scenario that you can actually have too much of it, because you can just sell it so easily and turn it back into cash very, very quickly. So yeah, there's not really any difficulty with having too much. If you really decide you have too much, just go to your next dealer and sell some. That's pretty much that. Another thing that I would like to address, which is oftentimes forgotten nowadays, is life is supposed to be fun, right? So it doesn't make any sense to just save every dime and put it all into silver because you feel like you have some obligation to do so. You don't, okay? You don't. If it's a fun hobby for you, that's great and everything, but try to also do some other stuff that you like, right? You don't have to save everything to put it into gold and silver. I've met some people in the past that got very miserable with that attitude, and I just don't think that it makes sense. If it makes you happy, of course, but in my opinion, that's just not something that's gonna make you happy for your entire life, and you might regret some stuff in the end, and that's really not something that you want. You don't really want to regret anything about your life, right? So I think just take it easy sometimes, keep it as a nice hobby, don't be too obsessed about it, and I think that's gonna help heaps. So yeah, if you've got any more questions, be sure to write them in the comments below. I'd be very happy to answer them as always. And if you've got any more stuff that you want to write in there, go ahead and do that too. I'll be very happy about that as well. I'd also be really, really happy if you could subscribe to the channel, and if you could rate the video with like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you might want to do. So yeah, have a fantastic week, and until next time.